Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and this iconic wagon behind us here is none other than the Audi RS4 Avant.
That's right, it's the fourth generation RS. It's upgraded, it's super fast, and let's go and take a look at it now. The Rennsport or Racing Sport or RS version of the RS4 actually hit the streets around about the year 2000, so it's 20 years old. I mean, you know, it's in prime position or prime condition for a 20-year-old. This is the fourth generation and it's had a few tweaks from there, but realistically looking around, it's got the whole new Audi design language. It's got the single frame grille that's shorter and narrower and more racy. The quattro nod just down here, and also this is all honeycombed and very funky and blacked out. Matrix headlights that are also directional when you're using the indication, and like I said, plenty of black accents all over the place. These are particularly kind of cool, these little inlets here. They don't actually do anything, but they're very cosmetic and actually really funky. Round the side, this model's coming in that unmistakable Nardo grey. It's really cool, sort of, I don't know, dark but matte colour grey. I don't know, I really like it. Big 20-inch feet that are only available in this model. And look at these nice red brake calipers that are there to stop, you know, this pretty fast, or actually very fast vehicle from, you know, on your nose as quickly as possible. Running down the Avant bodywork, you know, lovely estate wagon look about it. Again with the black accents down here on the door sills, and the door handles, they sort of flick up when you get inside, or to get inside. It's kind of a nice touch, really cool. Round the rear, RS specific roofline spoiler and RS specific diffuser down here. It's got LED tail lights, obviously the RS badge, which is, you know, it's so sought after and really just heads out that under the Audi Sport family, which is cool. It's got big wide exhaust tips, two of them, one each side, beautiful. And also, when you go inside, 495 litres of boot space that when you drop the seats down, 1495 litres. I mean, that will take virtually any of your flat pack furniture, whatever it is you want to carry around. But the big stuff is under the bonnet. Let's take a look there. A 2.9 litre V6 twin turboed engine. It does 331 kilowatts. It has 600 newton meters of torque. It's 30 kgs lighter than its V8 variant from yesteryear, actually 2012 I think it was anyway. 0 to 100, 4.1 seconds, top speed, I don't know, 250, it's just probably limited to that. But it's quite a stonking big thing. Come and have a look at this. It's more efficient than before, 9.2 litres per 100 kilometre. Also it's got a petrol particulate filter which basically reduces some of the emissions. Speaking of things that emit quite a lot of information, or stuff as it were, let's go inside. Matthew's got a lot to talk about in there.
Well, normally I love to spit out some figures, but I think Dave has taken all the cake in this instance, because the outside is where all the figures go on, if you like. But that's not to say that this inside isn't full of a bit of intelligence and a bit of action, if you like, because it is. Remember, this is an RS4. It's a proper thoroughbred RS car, and as soon as you sit in here you feel that difference, because you sit nice and low. Firstly, obviously these seats are fully electronically adjustable and heated as well, but the general seating arrangement is a low one. Speaking of those seats, they do have these big RS logos embossed into them, big side bolsters as well, and there's a very nice sort of hexagonal honeycomb pattern going on, both in the front and at the back. It's a beautiful touch of Nappa leather that lines the seats, and generally the build quality in this cabin is pretty up there. Across the top of the dashboard, everything you touch is soft plastics. You'd expect no less from an RS4, and not to mention its price as well. More soft plastics up here, and you do get a bit of piano black plastic, some aluminium, and a bit of this sort of Audi RS trim to break it up there. Down the bottom you do also get some more soft plastics, and the door cubbies are lined in a bit of rubber to keep everything from moving about. Speaking of storage spaces, there's a good sized glove box in there. There's also 2 cup holders over here, which may be heated or cooled, but either way you do get a bit of a LED light strip in the middle there. In terms of some more storage spaces, there's an awkward sized one over here right in front of the 12 volt socket and the USB charger. There's one over here which is used where you used to be able to find the Audi MMI rotary knob. That is now gone for the 2020 model, so you can only use the MMI system as a touchscreen. This storage space though, I'm not quite sure what it's for. It's awkward shaped as I said before, and maybe you could put your phone in there like this. Maybe. I don't know what else it would be for. If you're talking about the keys, well, the keys are over here. There's a nice little space there, just big enough for the key and the Audi keychain that comes with it. In the middle here, if you pop up this soft Napa leather armrest, you do get space there for your phone, and it's wireless charging as well. You also get another space there, rubber lined, and one along the side over here. So there's a decent bit of storage underneath here, along with that single USB charger over there. In terms of the more intelligent parts of this car, well, you've got the climate control up there, and it's got some good feeling knobs and a little screen there for your temperatures and stuff. It's nice to see that the climate control is actually controlled through buttons and knobs, rather than touching stuff. But if you do want it to use a touch screen as well, you can control the AC through the screen up here. Speaking of this screen, let's dive into that. So Audi's MMI screen is, as always, easy to use. The difference with this 2020 model is that the screen is actually faster than before, so it's more phone-like. And in fact, it's even got a swipe down menu like that, exactly like a phone. Now in this screen here, you get all the basic stuff there. If you swipe through there, you probably get the least used screen in any car, because it's got users' messages, sure, but it's got the legal stuff and the weather, which in a city like Auckland is something that's extremely unpredictable, as we've seen today. Over here, diving into the media menu, well, that gives you access to that really nice Bang & Olufsen stereo system. You can connect a device, obviously, play all your favorite music through it, and even if you turn the volume all the way to the top, well, the sound system can still hold its own over there. In the car menu, you do get all the obvious stuff. You can adjust the suspension. The RS monitor here shows you all the vital statistics of the car, all the relevant temperatures and gear oil, coolant, the G-forces, that sort of stuff. Well, it's got all of that there, and including seats. This car also has massage seats, so on a tired drive home, you can relax in your Audi RS4. Apart from that, what you really want to go into is that Audi Drive Select menu, because new for 2020, this RS4 has the 2 modes, the RS1 and the RS2 modes. Now, those are configurable according to how you would like it to be configured, so you can choose between the drive system, suspension, steering, and the engine sound. Now, on other RS models, we've noticed that the RS2 has an additional option in terms of the traction control, but on this model it's exactly the same as the RS1 menu. Either way, you can configure them differently, and you can use the shortcuts through the steering wheel over here. First of all, you get a nice chunky steering wheel here. It is an RS1, so it's flat bottom there, covered in this perforated leather and good thumb grips there. Another new thing for this 2020 model is that it has these aluminium tipped paddle shifters rather than plasticky ones. That's quite nice. You do get your indicator stalk on the left, wiper stalk on the right, and the little cruise control stalk down the bottom here, which is pretty precariously low. And if you're sitting pretty high up, I can imagine that your knee might nudge this into cruise. This button over here is the all-important piece of this steering wheel. It's the RS mode shortcut. So if you press that, you go first into RS1. Notice the Audi Quattro style speedometer there. Gives you all the vital statistics, your power, torque, G-forces, stuff like that. And obviously takes you straight into your configured settings on the RS1 option. Press it again and you go into RS2. Now it hasn't changed over here because we haven't really changed the settings, but according to how you've configured the RS1 and 2 settings, the dial and the exhaust and everything will change accordingly. Now this car is a wagon, so before we drive it and test out those RS performance specifications, let's open the back and see what life is like over there. Once you're in the back over here, you'll notice that it's firstly a bit hard to get into. It is fairly low down and the doors don't open all that wide, but in terms of comfort, it's a nice place to be. The back seats now get this soft Napa leather, including the hexagonal stitching that it didn't have before, but it does now, and it does make a difference back here. This seat, this RS Sport seat, is pushed as far back as it can go and very low, and I've got a good amount of knee room there, plenty of foot room, even though this four-wheel drive tunnel is pretty prominent there. You do get privacy glass, so not much light coming into the back, but just the right amount for you not to feel like it's too dark and dingy in here. Obviously in the middle you do get 2 USB charging ports, and the rear passengers both get air conditioning, so Audi have really, thought of all the creature comforts back here. It is a nice place to be, and there's a little bit of support there, so when your driver is throwing the car around corners, you're not going to fling about at the back here. Speaking of throwing the car around corners, why don't we go do a gentle spot of cornering? Let's take this RS4 for a drive.
The sound, the sportiness, you're in an Audi Sport when all of your senses start to come alive, and I know that feeling of driving exhilaration comes in. And this RS4 Avant, sure, it's a wagon and therefore it should be, family and rather boring, but it really isn't. This is a great sports car, and roomy too. Lovely.
And this 2020 model, you can only have it in the Avant option, but that's frankly the right way to go, because the RS4 and the RS6, they've become synonymous with being wicked wagons, if you like. They've become icons in themselves, and this new RS4 is very much carries the baton on from the previous generation, because the way it just does everything, it makes you feel alive. Everything, I'm hearing things that I haven't heard before. My eyesight, if you like, everything is on top gear. Everything is fully awake. That's the RS effect.
Yeah, a few things to really point out is how well this vehicle corners. Yes, it's a Quattro, so it's gonna handle the roads really well, but what they've added is a whole heap of torque vectoring, so when you are cornering, the inside wheels just get that little bit of extra braking to help turn you in, and that means you can put more pressure down on that accelerator pedal that you really want to, and it just feels confident, feels exciting, feels like it wants to go, particularly around corners. In the straights anybody can go straight, right? But it just feels really nicely, and the rubber you put down on the road, it's just great.
One of those things that makes the cornering better is the way the car is balanced in terms of power delivery. Now, Audi has set it up naturally to make 60% of the power go to the back and obviously the rest going to the front. So that means normally it is a rear-wheel drive car, or rather it's more rear-wheel drive biased, and you can certainly turn that figure up to 70% rear-wheel drive as well, or you can have it 60% front-wheel drive if you want. But why do that? Because all the fun's in the back.
And there is a lot of fun in the back. it feels neutral around corners, and I think that's what they're going for. It's got that lovely turn. I don't know, I can't get over how well it feels around corners.
Something that Audi do really well is that balance, because not only is the power delivery excellent in terms of the front and rear and stuff like that, and even this 2020 model RS4 has been set up to make sure it has a more linear power delivery across the rev band. But not just that, it's the suspension, the way it's set up so that even right now we're in one of the RS modes with the suspension as firm as it can be, but nothing's rattling around, you know, our voices are not bouncing all over the place. It's firm, yes, but it's still comfortable.
Yeah, and that's aided by these lovely bolstered seats, even in corners. You know, you're not moving around. I've got a frame that just absorbs into anything like a blob, but it just seems to just hold it right in place. It's lovely. And just that scent of leather around. I mean, you won't be able to get that on this video unless we do a scratch and sniff version, but it's just lovely. It's a really, just again, fills the senses with leather.
That's the RS difference again. The Napa leather, it's all around now on all 5 seats, and it's extremely soft, especially these headrests. Really comfortable for when you put your foot down and get the car going up to 100 in 4.1 seconds. It's just great.
The other thing about it is how that exhaust note comes in. I mean, V6s have a lovely note anyway, right? We all know that. It's not V8, but it's just, you're rewarded when you put your foot down. You're rewarded by a lovely sound as well as the acceleration, and that's cool. That's cool in my book.
It's cool in my book too. And even though this car has 2 turbos, you can't really hear the whooshing and the scrolling and all that stuff, but you certainly can feel that turbo power across the rev band.
Just cornering. These are slippery weather, the slippery roads, thanks to that little bit of a downpour that we've got caught in, but it just seems to manage it like it's not there. Brilliant. The smartness, as Matthew pointed out, the touch screens, the digital dashboards that you can just set up to however you want, deliver the information however you want, is very cool. I don't know, it can be sedate. You can put it into comfort and toodle around the house. I don't know about that, but toodle around the town without too many issues. Or you can get rid of the kids, get rid of the family, and just stamp on that accelerator.
Either way, whatever you prefer, the Audi RS4 certainly lives. Can match that. In terms of ground clearance as well, we've been surprised by how much of it there is actually, because fast wagons and fast sedans like these are notoriously hard to live with in terms of every speed vehicle. You've got to go sideways, you know, watch for steep driveways, all that stuff. But with the RS4, you can imagine that it being a comfortable daily driver car, and you won't have to go out of your way to, you know, navigate steep driveways.
Look, 20 years of development, 20 years of having this vehicle roll off the production line, and you know, the result is just getting better and better. It's more efficient, it's better on the emissions, it's just a much better car all the way around. And you know, yes, it's lacking or got rid of that V8 big hefty 30 kilos more weight in the nose, but the result is a much tidier, I don't know, much more responsive vehicle.
In terms of weight saving as well, this 2020 model actually has less sound deadening and less of the, I guess, soft stuff that you can't see, which means that it's 45 kilos lighter than the 2019 model. So they certainly have found some ways to chop off that weight there. But for something that's 20 years old, the RS4 is nearly as old as me. It's so refined and it's just getting better and better with age, and I certainly hope that I can do the same as well.
You won't. I prefer to be hanging around with this actually than you. So there you have it, the 2020 RS4 Avant. It's better, lighter, faster, quicker. I don't know. It's just an all-round superior vehicle and such a great asset as a family wagon. I mean, SUVs are ruling the world, but you know, welcome back to a, I don't know, sports wagon.
That's the truth. There's nothing like a proper sporty family car like this. Well, forget the family and just enjoy the car, because that's what the RS4 is all about.
Nice one. Thanks for watching. Great having you along. Make sure you subscribe. It's somewhere around here.
And don't forget, once you're done watching our videos, make sure you keep those eyes on the road.
See you next time.